everybody. Time for another video, this time about barbecued jackfruit sliders. I'm wearing my chef coat today. I look official. Haven't been wearing it for these videos, but I was doing an interview with Maya Acosta from DFW podcast, Plant Based Podcast, and just got through doing that a few minutes ago. She's a lovely person. I so enjoyed talking to her, but I was kind of trying to look a little official. I'm going to turn on another light just to see if that helps brighten up my cooking area. I noticed in some of my videos the lighting is a little bit dark, so I hope that helps a little bit. Today, hold on, something's ready in the oven. Set that aside. That's not a good way to start a video. I don't see anybody on here, so hopefully I'm safe. We're gonna make jackfruit, and I get a lot of questions about jackfruit. What is it? How do you make it? Is it good? The first time I ever made jackfruit, I went and bought a gigantic, somebody's trying to call me. I bought a huge jackfruit from the grocery store, and I didn't know what to do with it. It was just way too big, and it was unwieldy. And hold on for a second, I'm gonna adjust my light. I can't do it. Anyway, it was very difficult to work with. So someone then told me, oh, you know, don't get jackfruit, don't use fresh jackfruit, use jackfruit out of the can. So then I thought, okay, well that's easy. So I had this in my pantry. I had this one, and it's native forest organic green jackfruit. So that's the kind to get. I see some people have chimed in already. Hi Tricia. So get this canned jackfruit, and they've changed their label lately, so this is how it looks now. And in my recipe that I'll be posting, it calls for 2 cans of jackfruit, but what I made to sample for you now is I'm only making 1 can because I already made some so I could show you the finished jackfruit. So don't be afraid of jackfruit. It's kind of odd. I've never even tasted it before I made it. I went to some kind of a cafe one day, and they had barbecued jackfruit sliders on their menu, and I tried it, and you know, I wasn't expecting to like it, but it was so delicious. So I thought, I'm gonna have to learn how to make this. So I did some research, I got some canned jackfruit, and I learned how to make it. So this is what it looks like. It looks really strange. You'll see it when you open the can, rinse it, drain it well, and you'll see it has all the sections of the fruit. They're like little square sections, and then you'll see these little pods. And some of the sections are kind of hard, but they're not so hard that you can't mush them up a little bit. I see Kathy Brown. Thank you for joining. So what you have to do with the jackfruit, the first thing you have to do, I think you can see it from here, is you have to mash it up. And I'm going to turn my burner on so I can get my pan heated. But the first thing we have to do with the jackfruit is we have to make it smaller. So we have to shred it. And I'm shredding it with my hands. Now, if you were here eating with me, I would use gloves, but it's going to be baked in the oven for a long time, so it'll be fine. But I just use my hands. Some of these pieces are a little tough. Now, if I wanted to, I could shred them with my knife. And if I get down to some that are too hard, I might just start shredding them with my knife, but you shouldn't have to do that. It works pretty well just to shred them with your hands. So I've got them pretty well shredded up. I've got some of these little pods. They can be a little bit tough to shred up, and sometimes they'll shred better once you start cooking them. But this is supposed to resemble something that looks like pulled pork or something, but it ends up tasting very similar to that in the end. It's kind of amazing how it's all the spices and the seasonings that give it some really good flavor. So I think it's surprisingly good. Once you taste it, you'll probably be won over by jackfruit. It does sound a little strange, but it really is a good thing to eat. And what's nice about it is in the summertime, I'm thinking about summer because it's so hot here. It's so hot that I went out to check on some of my plants, and my lettuce plant was almost dead. It's behind me now. It was wilted. Sorry, I had to wash my hands off. It was wilted from the heat. So I've got my jackfruit shredded. Let's see, has anyone else chimed in? Trisha, would you recommend using a hand mixer to shred it? Well, you could, but I'll tell you what I tell everybody in my classes is I think one thing that keeps people from cooking more is they don't want to mess up their kitchen and get everything out and use a lot of equipment. So I try to use as little equipment as possible. So if I can do it with my hands and my one knife, then that's what I do. That's just, you know, the way I do it, just because it's easier on me. But there's nothing wrong with using tools if you like to do that. So the first ingredient is the jackfruit. Set it aside. And we're going to do some things to flavor it. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to put some onion in it. You know me, it seems like everything I make for you starts with some kind of onion. So I've got the onion, and some people have said that they like watching the knife information. So you cut your onion in half to get it started, and then I hope you can see it. I cut it horizontally so the pieces are smaller. Let me move the camera over a little bit. And then I cut along the lines. The onion has lines that kind of are vertical lines, and you'll see them if you study the onion, and then you just kind of follow along with your knife. But you leave the root intact, because that way the onion stays together. And then I'm just going to take the knife and I'm just going to cut through these lines that I've already cut, and I'm going to keep my fingers out of the way because I don't want to cut my fingers, and I don't really need that much for half a recipe, so I'm going to save this piece that I didn't cut that well. But I use all these scraps from my vegetable stock, so I have a place where I keep all the peelings and the ends and pieces, and I use them later. So I'm going to put my onion in the pan. I've had my pan on. I'll let you see the pan. Hi, PJ. Hi, Nancy. I've got the pan here, and the onion's starting to sizzle. So it starts with onion, like a lot of things. Then this dish has carrots, so I'm going to go ahead and put the carrots in. What I've done is I've just taken a couple of carrots and shredded them. I'm going to go back over here. I've shredded the carrots using just your typical shredder, nothing fancy. I got it from Pampered Chef a few years ago, but sad, it's broken. I still use it because it's my favorite one, but it is broken. So just your regular box grater works. So I've got my carrots, I've got my onions in here, and then I'm going to put some garlic cloves. And since I'm only making half a recipe, I'm going to put one garlic clove in here. I'm just going to smash it and get it in there as quickly as possible. I'm not going to try to worry about mincing it up. I'm just cutting it, rough chopping it, because this is all going to go in the oven. And it's going to be cooked some more, so it doesn't have to be that precise. All right, so I've got my vegetables, and I'm going to let them cook with no oil in the pan. So it's going well. I don't need to add anything right now. It's not burning, nothing's happening. I have water handy in case I need it, so we'll put that in. Now I'm going to add some spices. See if there's anyone else. Hello, Maya Costa's on. I just got through talking to her. In case she missed the beginning, this is the jackfruit, or anybody else who missed it. It's canned jackfruit. And I'll put the cans, let's see, you can see them now that I can't operate the stove. Well, ask me again and I'll show you, but it's canned, and it's always called organic young green jackfruit, okay? That's the kind to get. Lost the sound, it could be your connection. Hopefully everyone else can still hear. Anyway, I've got the vegetables cooking, and then I'm going to start adding some spices. I'm going to adjust you a little bit over here. So, I hear some comments. Okay, PJ says she's back. Hi PJ, thanks for attending. And I'm going to give you all the recipe as soon as this video is over, like I have been doing, I will send you all the recipe. I'll put it on the Facebook page, so you will have all the detailed instructions. So I'm going to be putting some things like onion powder, just a half a teaspoon. And then it has a half cup of water. So I'm going to go ahead and add the water. And that's going to help cook these vegetables down a little bit, but it's also going to help when the jackfruit is here in the pan. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and add the jackfruit now. So as I'm adding the seasonings, I've got that shredded jackfruit in the frying pan along with the vegetables. Because what we want to do is we want to cook this jackfruit a little bit before we put it in the oven. So I've got the jackfruit in here, I've got carrots, celery, garlic, water, onion powder. Now I'm going to put some chili powder in here. And I'm going to put about half a tablespoon. Now this is just the chili powder. It's in a bottle that didn't have the original chili powder because I buy chili powder from the bulk section at the grocery store. So I put a half a tablespoon, so it's just some kind of New Mexico chili powder. I did go to Central Market today. Don't tell my kids because they don't want me to ever leave the house because I'm 65 and they, oh hi Julia, Buttermore, Pam. My kids don't want me to leave the house, but I needed so many things. I thought, I'm just gonna go to Central Market, which is an H-E-B, it's like the gourmet grocery store. And I went there and it was practically empty. So there was nobody there. I followed all the sanitary practices and I wore a mask that my friend made for me, a cloth mask and gloves. And I was the only one in the whole store wearing a mask and gloves, I swear to you. People were looking at me really funny. Must go tomorrow, PJ. Yeah, we'll go wear a mask and gloves, but it was kind of funny because these people were looking at me and I thought, well, you know, I'm trying to protect myself. So anyway, I noticed they still had their bulk section open. You could get spices, you could get nuts and stuff, but everything was like up high. So they had to shut off anything that was down low. So they kept open things that were up high. Okay, I got a question or comment. Kathy Brown. My daughter just told us something about to stay home too. We had gloves on too. Oh, I don't mean to laugh at you, but you know, I watched a video by Dr. McDougall and Mary the other day, and you know, they're smart people. And they had this whole video about handling food that you buy at the store and all this stuff. And they said they were still going to go to the store, even though they're in their 70s. But they said the same thing. They had on gloves, they had on masks, they had their antibacterial wipes with them, antiviral wipes with them. And they said, you know, they've been doing this for a long time, and people were staring at them too. But the Central Market was fully stocked with everything. They had all my regular stuff. I need to stir my jackfruit a little bit. You can see I've got the jackfruit. The steam is going to make my hair frizzy. The jackfruit, the carrots, the onions are cooking away. They're doing fine. But yeah, you can still get spices in bulk, but I think for now probably get them in the bottle and not buy things in bulk sections because, you know, people do handle it. And we don't always cook all the spices down. All right, so then I'm going to put some smoked paprika in here. Now, I'm not a big fan of smoked paprika in big quantities because it's really strong, so I'm going to use the half a teaspoon is for 2 cans, so I'm only going to use like less than half a teaspoon because it can overpower food. Let's see if there's a question. Looks great. Julia Buttermore. While we were in Thailand, our tour guide said jackfruit was eaten on New Year's Day for good luck. Oh, that's nice. Nice to know. Thanks for attending, Julia. Okay, so then I'm going to put in my half a teaspoon of ground cumin. And I'm going to put a little salt in here. Now, if you're a person that's following a salt-free way of eating, you can always leave salt out. Whenever I add it in something, you don't have to put salt in your food. I just put it in there because to me, a little goes a long way. The same with soy sauce. My recipe calls for a half a tablespoon of low sodium soy sauce. That's really, I think that's more to color it than it is to give it a lot of taste because there's a lot of jackfruit for that amount of soy sauce. So now I've put all the seasonings in here and you'll see that it's still kind of light colored. You know, it doesn't have a lot of color to it. So what we have to do is we have to cook it like this for about 15 minutes. And what that will do is that will cook the jackfruit and let some of the flavors develop. And I think the problem I had with jackfruit when I've eaten it in the past, before I had some that I really liked, is it was really bland and it has a strange texture. And then if you just took the jackfruit out of the can like this, and we cooked it in the frying pan with some seasonings, and we said, okay, now we're gonna eat it. I don't think that it's that good. It's okay, but it's not that good. Or some people say, well, I cooked it in a slow cooker, but they didn't really love it. So I wanted to find a way to make jackfruit that was so good that we would really love it and not just accept it. Because sometimes with plant-based food, people are willing to just kind of tolerate it, but it's not that good. But they're just kind of, they just take it because they feel like they don't have that many options. Well, I think my way of looking at things is a little different, because my brand, or what I stand for, has always been, let's make the plant-based food taste as good as possible. Let's really develop some flavors, put some spices in it. Let's do whatever we can to make it taste good. Let me see if there's another question. I'm so happy you're demonstrating how to cook. It's Julie Ramirez jackfruit. Well, thank you, Julie. I'm happy to be here doing it. So let's say that I've cooked this jackfruit for 15 minutes. We'll pretend, because we want to get through with this video before my hair gets really, really frizzy. So we've cooked our jackfruit for, say, 15 minutes in the pan. Then what we're going to do with it is we're going to put it on, and this is one I've already baked in the oven. We're going to put it on a parchment lined baking sheet. And then we're going to have our jackfruit on this baking sheet. And I've already put a little barbecue sauce on it. But before we put barbecue sauce on it, we're going to cook it at 400 for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to turn it. And then we're going to cook it for 10 more minutes. And then about the last 5 minutes, let's see if there's another question. I've been wondering about jackfruit. Thank you. Oh, you know, I'm glad you guys are watching, because I wondered about jackfruit for a long time and never made it because it sounded kind of strange. So after our 25 minutes of cooking it at 400 degrees in the oven, then what I did was I poured some barbecue sauce on it. Now, if you attended yesterday's video, we used the same barbecue sauce I got at Central Market. It's Austin's own, and it has no oil, very low sugar, and it's really a good tasting barbecue sauce. Well, I want to use it up. Obviously, I opened it up. So I used this again. I poured about 1/4 of a cup on the jackfruit, and I put it back in the oven for 5 minutes. So what you see here, and I think you could see it, is this beautiful, nice golden brown jackfruit, and it kind of has the texture of pulled pork. And the reason we put it in the oven instead of just doing it on the stove, because the one on the stove looks really pale. It's been cooking the whole time I've been talking, but it's never going to get this brown color. Let me see if there's any other comments. Hello from Rochester, New York. I've always wanted to try jackfruit. Hi, I was raised in Rochester. I'm Nancy. Yeah, so anyway, you guys, the reason we put the jackfruit in the oven, it's hot in my kitchen. I'm starting to sweat. It's 90 degrees here in Texas, you guys. But the reason we put the jackfruit in the oven is because we want to develop the flavor and texture. And by putting it in the oven, it dries it out. And drying it out makes it chewy and gives it a really nice mouth feel. So that's one of the things that people often say they're missing when they quit eating their regular standard American food. They think, oh, you know, nothing tastes that good. I miss eating what everybody else is eating. Well, in the summertime, when everybody else is having their barbecued stuff, you know, they're eating their, you know, stuff from the barbecue restaurant, or they're grilling out. This is something that I like to make. I say I'll make my own little barbecue jackfruit sliders. So I have some buns. These are whole wheat slider buns, and I'm going to use those today. And I'm going to put some of my barbecue jackfruit on there. I'm going to pile it on too. This is going to be good. And since it's jackfruit with no oil, because we did not put any oil in our pan. It's just fruit, and jackfruit does not have many calories. I don't think it's a big source of protein either, so we're not eating jackfruit because it's a health food. I can look on the can and tell you that jackfruit has protein, 2 grams of protein for a half cup. So it does have some, but it's not a high protein food. So let me put that back on there. I'll be eating this. So I've got the jackfruit on there. Now, I made some condiments to go with this. And I'll show you what they are. I had some cabbage that I already had. Let's see, any other questions? Hello from Florida. Hey, thanks for watching from Florida. I have a piece of cabbage. I had a half a head of cabbage left from the other day. I have cilantro from my garden. It's Texas and it's warm enough, and the cilantro has come back up from last year. So I have that, and I put some of my shredded carrots in a bowl with the cabbage, and I just added some red wine vinegar. So, and maybe a sprinkle of turbinado sugar, which, you know, gives it a little sweetness. It's like a brown sugar, a whole organic brown sugar. And I'm just gonna put a little pile of my quick slaw, which is very fresh tasting. And if you don't want to use raw vegetables because of what's going on, or you don't have any cabbage, you don't have to put it on there. You could put cooked spinach, like lightly sauteed spinach on there, and it would be fine. But I'm putting this little slaw. I'll put a little bit of my freshly picked lovely cilantro on there just because it looks so nice. And this tender young cilantro is not very strong tasting. It's very mild tasting. I also have, let's see, I have a Fresno chili. Fresno chilies are beautiful. They're red. They're probably from the jalapeno pepper family, but they're milder. They're not as hot and spicy. But what I like about them is they're so pretty. I put them on everything I can. And I don't know why, but Fresno chilies are like $5 a pound. And right next door to the Fresno chili, in the chili section of the grocery store, the jalapeno peppers are like 29 cents a pound. Now, why is that? So this year, I bought Fresno chili plants for my garden. So I'm gonna have some of these expensive Fresno chilies growing in my garden. So here I have our sliders. I'll put one at the top on one of them. You know, this is funny. I put it on the top of one and the bottom of the other, but you don't have to see that. We'll just pretend I did it right. So this is the barbecue jackfruit slider, and we have the barbecue jackfruit that tastes like something very satisfying and decadent, but it's not, and it has nothing in it but some vegetables and barbecue sauce. And if you were to taste it like I'm able to right now, it's delicious, especially with that barbecue sauce. And this is one of those dishes that, those of you who know me know that my husband is not plant-based. I don't even want to admit it, but his favorite place to go eat is Chick-fil-A. So there are a lot of things I make that he does not eat. But when I made this, he ate it and thought it was delicious, and he told me he would eat that. So if you have plant-based family members and non-plant-based family members alike, they should like this dish, because it really does, it could fool you. You could really think you're eating you know, something besides a plant-based dish. So this was our recipe for today. I will put the complete recipe on this Facebook page of mine as soon as I get done here. And I appreciate everybody watching. Let's see if there's any other messages. Maya, yummy, thank you guys. Making you hungry. So this is easy to make. It doesn't take that long. You can make it. And some of my things that are coming up soon are the waffles. So on Saturday, I'm making the multigrain waffles. That's one of my favorite recipes that everybody always requests. I think PJ's watching. PJ and her husband, Richard, they took my recipe and they improved on it, added more stuff to it, and I think theirs is better than mine, so I had to adapt my recipe to make it as good as theirs. How crazy is that? So I'll make the wonderful multigrain waffles, and I'm going to make blueberry compote topping because I have some frozen blueberries. I think I have written down some other things that I'm making. Tomorrow I'm going to make my sesame noodles with sesame ginger tofu and a delicious dressing. So we're going to have that tomorrow. The waffles or pancakes on Saturday. Undecided about Sunday, so if you have a request, send it to me. Monday I'm going to make cauliflower, walnut, and potato tacos. And those are some of the best tacos that I make. Plant-based. People don't believe they're plant-based. Let me see if there's any other things. Buffalo, New York. Was your jackfruit canned? Yes, the jackfruit is canned. It's young, organic, young green jackfruit. Drain it well, shred it up, and then it looks, it kind of has this appearance. It looks like shredded something. Then we add the carrots, the onions, and the garlic. And what that does is that we're building layers of flavor whenever we put anything on food. We're building layers of flavor with the garlic, chili powder, cumin, onion powder, adding the peppers at the end, adding our vegetables. Oh, and I have, you guys, if you've been watching my videos, you know I like things spicy. So of course I had sliced jalapeno peppers I could have put on there if I hadn't put the red Fresno chilies. So whatever you like. If you want to put mustard on here, my husband is a big mustard lover. So I could see him putting mustard and pickles. So mustard and pickles would be a good addition to this too. So whatever you put on it, it's going to taste delicious. I think you'll really like it. If you make it, send me a picture of your sliders, or if you just want to use it on rice, you don't have to have these buns. You can put it on regular sandwich bread. You could put it on a potato, like if you had baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, or russet potatoes. Bake your potato and then cover it with the barbecue jackfruit. It's delicious. It just kind of gives you a really nice change of pace. So let's see if there's any other questions. Fantastic recipe. Okay, you guys, I thank you so much for watching my videos. I'll keep doing them as long as you like them. I don't mind doing them because these are the things I'm making for myself and my family to eat. So I'm not making anything special that I wouldn't make anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm just turning the video on while I'm making it, and that way you get to see what it is, you get to experience some different recipes maybe. Visit with me in my kitchen in Azle, Texas. That's kind of cool to communicate with people from all over the country. And I have lots and lots of recipes on my website, chef-julia.com. They're all free. I don't have any ads on my website, so it's very simple. And Instagram is my name, Julia Dunaway, if you want to see other pictures I post on Instagram. But I really thank you all for being there and being interested in what I'm doing. I enjoy connecting with you every day. At a time like this when we're kind of stuck inside alone, it's kind of good to know that there are people out there that are still cooking, that are interested in trying new recipes, and especially interested in cooking some of my recipes. That is a really good feeling. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully there were no last minute questions, mostly just people saying hi. Great to connect with you. Yes, PJ, all my friends, all the people that were attending my cooking classes that can no longer attend have been watching some of these videos, so I really appreciate that. So goodbye for now, and tune in again tomorrow. We're going to make a delicious noodle salad, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So thank you all again, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.